Hello everybody and welcome to Langer's Legion. I'm Langer and let's talk Star Wars Legion. Whether you're a new or old player to Star Wars Legion, there's something that you probably already are very aware of, is there's lots of things to store and transport around, especially when you're going from your home to the tabletop at your local LGS, or maybe if you're traveling for a tournament. You know, you need lots of dice, lots and lots of dice. I myself have 4 dice packs, one that came with the core set, and then I've over the time accumulated additional add-on packs just because you need so many for those large attack pools and those large defense pools. There's lots of cardboard. We're talking about all those tokens. You have order tokens, you have the green tokens, surge, aim, dodge, standby, the deployment boundary tokens, just lots of different pieces of cardboard that you need to keep track of and carry around. And then that brings us to unit cards. Obviously you've got the unit cards, you've got the upgrade cards, you have command cards, you have scenario cards. Again, while those aren't necessarily cardboard, you know, they're thick pieces of paper, and you need to transfer those around to play the game. And then finally, and not least of course, is the miniatures themselves. Kind of hard to play a Wartop table game without miniatures, and how you get those again from home to the game store, different ways to do that, and I just thought I would talk about what I've been using most recently. So let's kind of dive into it right off the rip. Let's get into dice. Like I said, you need a lot of dice, and when I first got into Legion, I was at the local craft store with my wife, and I just bought like a plastic storage bin. You know, I paid $10 for it, and it seemed to work just fine, right? I got different slots, could put my dice in. But one thing that I found out is after opening and closing it all the time is that the hinge on it itself was just kind of a folded plastic. So it kind of just started to wear out and rip and not do any good. So I kind of started looking around at different options, and I happened to be at my local home improvement store one Saturday, and I found some great alternatives that were better built and cheaper than what I saw at the local craft store. And I stumbled across these at Home Depot here in the States, and it's made by a company called Anvil, but I think Husky, which is Home Depot's brand, has kind of their own version of this. But the first one I got is a 6 compartment holder for my dice. And as you can see, I've got a different slot for each of the 3 attack dice and a slot for the defense dice. And then I use a 3rd slot for my order tokens. And the main benefit of this unit, obviously other than the plastic being a little thicker and a better latch, is the hinge mechanism. While the mechanism itself is still plastic, there's actually a metal rod in there to give it a little bit more sturdiness, so when I'm constantly opening and closing it, I feel like I'm going to get a little better wear out of it. But on top of that, and going back to all the pieces of cardboard, they also make a 12-inch 13 slot or 13 bin version of the same unit, which I use for all those kind of order tokens, suppression tokens, wound tokens, whatever. And it's just nice and compact, keeps everything in its place and a place for everything. I'm kind of that organized freak guy. So really nice. And the benefit again for both of these were actually cheaper than the things that I saw at the local, you know, craft store with my wife. Like I said, I think I paid $6 for the 6 bin, and I believe it was, you know, $9 or $10 for the larger 13 bin, which are both easy wins in my book. But sticking with the kind of the paper products, let's talk about unit cards and upgrade cards. Now I know for more advanced players, they might use Tabletop Admiral or one of the list building softwares, and they can kind of keep all that stuff in an app, or maybe they print out a piece of paper. I can track it that way. I'm still relatively new enough where I still like to have the unit cards. I still like to lay them out on the table, kind of know what I'm doing. I can't remember all the keywords. As I get in my advanced age, I need to kind of remember these things. So instead of dealing them out on the table and trying to keep track of the cards and the upgrade cards, I found these really good pockets, or these pages, from Ultimate Guard, which is a name you're going to hear a few times in this video. But they make these compact pages that are 14 slots, so it's 7 slots per side on a page, that are designed to hold our cards. I paid, I think, $15, maybe $12 per pack, and there's 10 of them, so it's not the cheapest thing, but again, it's an easy way to kind of transport those cards around. And just to kind of show you an example, you know, here's my ATST, got the unit card in there with the upgrade cards. I don't have anything on the second side, but what I like to do is keep the unit cards in there and kind of just standardize on what upgrade cards I kind of normally use with each unit. That way I'm not always constantly fishing through, you know, my bag or my stack of upgrade cards to find them out. So that way, when I get to the tabletop, more than likely I've already got the upgrade cards, or the most common ones I'm using with that unit, already slotted in there. And if I'm not using it, I'll flip it over so the backside's up so I know it's not, in action for that game. So just a great way to stay organized. One drawback I will say for myself, at least here in the States, I couldn't find a binder off the shelf that these pages fit in, at least without not modifying the pages. Like I could hole punch them or do whatever, but I kind of wanted to stay away from that because I didn't want to damage the integrity of the pages themselves. Maybe they'll rip or slip out. So Ultimate Guard does make a specific binder that you can pick up to hold the pages. Nothing special, just looks like a binder. But it's designed, to hold their pages, these compact pages, and you can see I've got all of mine loaded in there. So it's, again, super handy. Pull it out, pull the pages out. I'm ready to go at the tabletop. The drawback I will say, for a binder, I think I paid $25 or maybe $30 for it. It's pretty steep for a binder. I mean, it's got some nice padding on it, but at the end of the day, it's a binder with a couple rings on it to hold some pages. But I guess that was the Ultimate Guard hobby tax, kind of come into play there. You want to use the pages, got to use the binder. But on top of the pages, on top of the cards themselves, I do like to sleeve them both with inners and outers just to kind of protect them before I put them in the pages, as well as obviously the ones for the command cards and the scenario cards, because you're always kind of dealing those out and flopping them up and down on the table. So I just wanted some additional protection. Now I know there's a whole hobby within the hobby around who makes the best sleeves or whatever, for shuffling and dealing or whatever, especially for folks that come from maybe Magic or Pokemon or a card game or a deck game like that. I just again wanted them for security to make sure they kept the cards protected and make sure they had a good fit. And my LGS carries Ultimate Guard, as I've mentioned, so I just picked up the Katana series from Ultimate Guard, which seem to be really good. I mean, these have really good reviews and whatnot. I'm sure other folks might have opinions on these, but they make both inner and outer sleeves. So I have sleeved all of my cards prior to going into these pages, and of course for my command cards and the scenario cards, I have those sleeves and I kept handy as well. But for those cards specifically, again, another product from Ultimate Guard. I swear I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I'm not getting any kickbacks. They have this plastic case, it's called a Boulder case. So the cards that I don't put in my pages, like I said, my command cards, scenario cards or whatnot, I keep in here. It's got a hard plastic top and everything. Just another good way to organize it, and comes in a dozen different colors. $10. I go with the black because I'm an Empire player, so black and white kind of my favorite colors. But that's an easy way to keep your cards safe, keep them transported, so on and so forth in that regard. And then finally, again, you can't really play a miniature war game without the miniatures. And so found a way to get those kind of, again, from my home to the tabletop. Now, I know there's a lot of different ways out there in the market. I know a company called Battle Foam, makes the foam cases, and they even have specific Legion foam cutouts, to put your units in there. People DIY stuff with very useful boxes with magnets and whatnot. And that's actually the route that I went down. Though I didn't do the do-it-yourself, I found a company based in the UK called WarMag that actually kind of makes the boxes pre-assembled for you. Now, granted, you could definitely do this DIY, save yourself a couple dollars, but for me, I was like, I wanted it quickly. I'll pay the extra, and it came out to being like an extra $2, right, to have it kind of pre-made and shipped to my house. So I went that route. They make a lot of different these boxes, different sizes, 4 liter and 9 liter. If you're familiar with the useful box type, I mean that's all they're doing. They've got a magnetic, paper, or not paper, but insert in there. I've got my units magnetized, and as you can see, like I said, it works pretty well. Like I'm not shaking it super hard, but I'm shaking it enough where these are not moving around. Let's see if I can do this in one take. They're not falling out. So just a really great way to transport your minis. They make different sizes, so if you have taller minis, this is the 4 liter version. There's a 9 liter. I think they even go higher up than that. So maybe if you're playing other war games that have taller miniatures than what we have for Legion. But anyways, a great product. My preferred way, or my easy way of transporting my minis from home to the tabletop. Well, I do want to thank you all for your time, and I do want to give a special shout out to the fact that we've hit 60 subscribers. So those that have subscribed, or even those that have watched, I do appreciate it. This is just something that I'm doing for fun, a hobby, again, with the hobby, just talking about a game that I really enjoy playing and just wanting to share my thoughts with it. So for those that have subscribed and watched, thank you very much. But I also welcome any comments or feedback. If you have other tools or other ways that you transport your Legion stuff, post them in the comments below, and let's have a conversation. But until the next video, I just can say, hail to the Empire.